Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Only One Hotspur podcast. It's just me and Wes again today, and we are reviewing our win against Newcastle United. So, Wes, I'm going to come straight over to you with your thoughts on the game. Obviously, quite a good victory in the end, but yeah, what are your thoughts?
For me, well, first of all, I hope everybody can see me this time. I know we had some issues with the preview, but in terms of the game itself, I think it's a fairly decent sort of game, really. I think Newcastle, I thought, played quite well. They were looking to take the game to us, which, as the home team, I think no matter who you're playing against, the onus is on the home team to really try and stamp their authority on the game. I thought St. Maximan was excellent, caused us all sorts of problems. I thought Almiron had a good game, popping up in different spaces. Shelvey played quite well, again, trying to dictate the play, which we thought he would. And, from a Spurs perspective, must give massive credit to Serge Aurier to even step out onto the pitch after the tragic news regarding his brother, and actually thought he played all right. I know it was a bit of a swipe clearance for their goal, but I just think he's just done that purely off instinct. He's not really looked or anything like that, which I know you probably would say, check your shoulders before doing anything, but he's just purely just done that off instinct. But I think, overall, I don't think he had a bad game. But no, I thought we looked okay. I wouldn't say we were back to our best, or that's going to be the best of us under Mourinho. But we got the 3 points. Kane's got his landmark goal as well in the process. I mean, I'd have loved it to have come against Arsenal, but it wasn't to be. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on the game, really. I don't know if you agree, disagree, or want to add anything else onto that.
Yeah, well, obviously, I had to miss the second half because of coaching, but I managed to watch the first half, and obviously I've watched the second half technically, through highlights. But it looked a good game. Obviously, the first half was, I think it was quite a good tempo. Both teams were sort of going at each other a bit. I think it was, to go to St James's Park, it's not an easy place to go. I think you made a good point in the preview that obviously no fans for them, it could maybe help us, and I think maybe it did, because obviously, it can be an intimidating place because obviously if their fans are on their side, that place can be rocking. I think obviously I'm buzzing for Kane to get his landmark goal. I have to say Son's goal as well. That is a very good finish. I think De Bradford was quite unlucky there because I think he was a bit unsighted because it went through Yedlin's legs, didn't it? But I think that's a very smart finish from Son. That cross from Bergwijn, oh my, mate, put it on a plate, or absolute beauty.
Full Nando's meal platter, that one, wasn't
it? But in them retro boots as well, by the way, which I absolutely love. I had to give a little mention to that. I love my retro stuff. But I think, I'm just really happy. I think the past two games, I think have been a bit more promising from us. Obviously, the Everton win was a very boring win. The West Ham win was a boring win. Let's face the facts. But I think the past two wins have been a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting. And it's just looking like we are improving now, which is what you want. As long as you're moving forward, you can't really complain. And I think that is the case with us at the minute. I think it is now starting to get me a bit more excited for next season, because after the Everton and West Ham game, I was thinking, yeah, okay, what is going to happen, sort of thing. But it's now starting to get me thinking a bit more. It'll be interesting to see what happens against Leicester. Obviously, we'll have our preview for that, but obviously Leicester are a good team as well, good attacking team. So it'd be interesting to see how we sit up against them. So we should now have confidence from the past couple of games. We've created chances, taken chances as well, which is always good. So yeah, I'm happy with the way the game's gone. Obviously, for them 3 points now in Europa League spots currently, so that's obviously good. Well, obviously, it could be a lot better. Don't get me wrong, but for where we was at the start of lockdown, maybe during lockdown, halfway through, I think showing that we are moving forward, as I said. But yeah, like moving on, who would you say sort of stuck out to you, like players wise? Who really stood out to you? Obviously, you mentioned Saint Maximin, but anyone else?
I think, just on St Maximin, I thought he was brilliant for Newcastle. I think if he doesn't win their Player of the Year, then there's got to be a massive inquest, proper stewards inquiry for that, because he seems to be the one that wants that responsibility at Newcastle, that wants to make things happen. And it looked like that again throughout the game. Really, he's got really good ability to go both ways. There's a lovely bit of skill just to get past Lo Celso as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was playground stuff, from him. He really stood out for me. For Newcastle, I think again Miguel Almiron was good. His usual kind of lively self, trying to link with St Maximin and trying to make things happen. For Newcastle, was a bit impressed with Shelvey and his different passing, his passing range. But then I've always been a big fan of John Joe Shelvey and his passing range anyway. But he was the one that was trying to make things happen from a deeper perspective, and trying to find St Maximin and Almiron in good spaces, and then trying to get them on the ball and looking to make things happen then for those guys going up the pitch. For Spurs, it's a bit of a strange one because I know we've won, and I should be happy that we've won and things, but I don't really think anybody probably stood out for me in terms of having a worldy game. I think people just played the game, and I think everybody was sort of a 6 or a 7 out of 10 really. Credit to Jose though with the subs. They obviously came on and made a difference. Bergvin coming on, getting the assist for Kane's first one, and Lamela then coming on and playing a part in Kane's second goal as well. So credit to Jose and the players that did come on, making that difference. I think we've been waiting for that because our substitutions don't always make a difference. We make changes to try and affect the game, and they don't tend to really do it or have an effect with a goal contribution. Because I know that we've brought Ndombele on a couple of times, and he's changed the way that we've played a little bit, but hasn't had those assists or hasn't scored to go with it. Unfortunately for Tongi. But yeah, so I think from a Spurs perspective, like I say, I think everybody was sort of a 6, 7 out of 10. Sort of going through the team, it's like Hugo was fairly solid. Nothing he could do about Richie's goal, by the way, because that is an absolute worldie of a strike, an absolute rocket. I think, but barring that, I know the back line looked a little bit tested. Again with St Maximin, but by and large, I think did fairly well to try and nullify any sort of threat. I don't really think Gale had a sniff apart from one header that hit the post, but other than that, I don't recall Gale doing too much. So, that proves that the back line did well. Sissoko runs about a bit, gives 100%, misplaces passes. If anyone wants to tell me different, then please feel free. But that's Moussa Sissoko's game in a nutshell for me. I think Winks and Lo Celso did what they had to do in the midfield, and Lucas, I thought, actually had a pretty good shift again, helping out defensively. Sonny was fairly quiet apart from his goal, but then Sonny's been quite quiet in most games, I think, since the restart. And I actually thought, and this one might surprise you, I actually thought Harry Kane had a bit of a poor game until he scored. And then once he scored, he seemed to get a little bit, it was more, he's gone from, say, that to, shoulders back, he's up again and stuff. But I think, before that, I actually thought he had a poor game. Didn't really do too much, wasn't getting that involved in the play. And when he does, he was fairly wasteful with it. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be up there in one of his better games. But he's got his 2 goals, and that's helped us win the game. And that's the mark of a top striker. They might not be playing well, but as soon as they do, they make a difference. With a goal or an assist. And thankfully for Harry, it was 2 goals, and big congratulations for him for hitting that 200 landmark as well. And I'm sure it won't be soon. It won't be too far away for him to hit 200 in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you on most of that. To be fair, obviously the parts of what Saint Maximin was unreal. I think as we said in the preview, he is just that player who gets you on the edge of his seat. He's going to do something. Not afraid to have a shot from wherever. He always tries to create something. I quite like Almiron. He just runs and runs and runs. He's like the road runner. He just non-stop working for the team. And that's, because I know a Newcastle fan, and I sort of spoke to him a bit, and he went, all the Newcastle fans love him just because he never stops working. And I think that's, as obviously Newcastle fans always appreciate that. If they can see a player working well for them, they'll love him. They'll support and back him. I think I want to personally give a massive shout out to Serge Aurier. But to go and play in the game just after your brother's died, I can't imagine doing that. That is so much credit there, so much respect from me, because to go through that, especially in such a horrible and tragic way, I think is you must be feeling so many different emotions. But from obviously what I've seen, he didn't really do anything wrong. Obviously, as you said, for their goal, he sort of tried to clear it, but it sort of fell back to Richie, didn't it? But apart from that, from what I saw, he had a good game. Credit where credit's due, and fair play to him. I could never do that. I don't think. I think that shows that he has got the mentality in him. So fair play. You can't give enough credit where credit's due. I also, I think as you were saying, Hugo Lloris, I think he has been actually quite solid since the restart.
Must have stopped drinking the vino.
Think of him making. I can't think of him actually making a mistake during, and he's actually made some very, very good saves. Been solid. He's actually looked a lot better than what he did before the restart. So hopefully, we might even be seeing Lloris back to, back improving again, which will be fantastic, because we all know how great of a goalkeeper Lloris can be. And I know you yourself have obviously had a few question marks over him in the past few years, but say if he carries on the way he has been since the restart, I don't think anyone will have any problems with him, because obviously, yes, his distribution, we all know, isn't necessarily the best at times, but his shot stopping can be superb. Obviously, he's quite, he's quick off his line, and I think, and we can now tell that he's a leader as well. because obviously after the half time in the Everton game, you know, you can tell he really wants to be winning. You know, he doesn't take any nonsense. So I think if he carries on the way he's playing, I think that's fantastic, and I think every Tottenham fan will be really happy. And I think then that will mean, you know, we don't need to maybe bring in well, obviously, you might not need to bring in another goalkeeper yet. Save a bit of money. Which is always, you know, Daniel Levy's probably going, hey, lovely jubbly. But yeah, and also I do want to actually quickly bring up on that, because obviously past couple of games, obviously it's been quite promising. As I said, I have not seen one thing about ENIC out or Levy out the past couple of games. Obviously before that, it was, you know, all you saw, wasn't it? And you go on social media, oh, ENIC out, Levy out. But now we've won a couple of games, or even after we beat Arsenal. Because obviously they were saying about the plane flying over, weren't they? Did you actually see the plane fly over, by the way?
I haven't seen anything, and I think if that plane would have flown over the Arsenal game, Sky would have probably cut to it. You know, we've seen and not only recently, but in other games as well, when planes have been flying over at different grounds. Yeah, they are pretty hot on it as well. And even I know it's a little bit different, but with flags and banners in stadiums as well. Again, whether that's Sky or BT or whoever, they are pretty quick to notice it. And sometimes even request that they get taken down or get taken away, because it's, for example, if it's something against Sky or something like that, they might request that it gets taken down, because obviously those pictures are getting beamed across the world. So, and it's obviously not a good image for them.
Yeah. I just find that quite interesting though, because obviously all these people are so passionate about getting ENIC out, Levy out, but now we've won a couple of games, it's literally all gone quiet.
It's the power of winning. It's the power of winning, in my opinion.
Exactly. But I think, because obviously I think both of us have been obviously leaning a bit more towards Levy in. Obviously, I think after the restart, I think, you know, we could start to see reasons why people maybe wanted them out. I think, you know, we've had this discussion before, but whether or not it's actually on the podcast, I can't remember. But you know, but I think it is interesting though, because I think people are now maybe starting to see what's happening at Tottenham. Obviously, with Jose Mourinho coming in, and they may be thinking, okay, let's actually give them that a bit more time after these past two games, and then see. Because I think, obviously, as I said, it has been promising these past two games. We know what Mourinho can do. You know, he's won a trophy at every single club he's managed. Every single club. You know, he got that Man United team to second in the league. Like, he should be getting a trophy just for that, by the way. Like, you know, he said that is pretty much one of his greatest achievements. Like, that's the thing. And I think people are now, maybe started to realise that a little bit and thought, okay, maybe they are starting to see things. Maybe they are trying to maybe push. Obviously, this summer is going to be interesting because of obviously all this COVID, the money implications, obviously all the stadium stuff, because obviously we're still paying that off. So I think this summer will be interesting. I think, as we've said, we will probably need to sell players to be able to fund some transfers in. Obviously, I think getting Europa League football is a massive thing as well, because that's, you know, another probably. I can't quite remember how much it is. I think I saw something. It's maybe like an extra 20, 30 million just to get Europa League. So obviously that is big for the club. Whether or not that goes on the stadium payments, whether or not that goes on transfers, you know, it's still big for the club. So I think maybe fans are starting to realise that it is a bit more of a project at Tottenham at the minute, you know, and that we are maybe moving in the right direction. We've got a manager with that winning mentality. And we're now starting to see that a bit. We're winning games. That some of them might not have been too pretty, but I think one of the big cliches is, even if you're not playing bad, but you win, that shows a true winning mentality. I think, that's the perfect example is Liverpool this season, I think. Because I think, obviously, everyone says Liverpool last season played much better football than they did this season. I think that is fair to say. But Liverpool had that mentality this season to win, to grind out wins, to get them 1-0s, them 2-1s, them late winners. They've managed to do that this season, which they couldn't quite last season, which let them down at some points. I think maybe people might be thinking, okay, Liverpool have been doing that this season, grinding out them 1-0s like we did with Everton. So maybe people are starting to realise that. Obviously, we don't know until next season how we're going to go, but maybe people are starting to realise and maybe be a bit more patient. Quite interested to see your views on that. Obviously, I thought I'd just throw it in there because I think it's quite an interesting topic.
I think for me, it is a sign of a good side when you're not playing at your best and you are still winning. But I think it's different for each club, because if you're saying that City aren't playing well, then it might be that their passing isn't as crisp as what it usually is, but yet they've still won a game. If it's Liverpool not playing well, that their pressing game might not be as intense as it has been in previous games, and stuff. I get it, but I think, like I say, just have to give it some context. With that, I think, if United aren't playing well, then it's probably because a team has sat back and they haven't got the space in behind to get their front three at the minute of Rashford, Martial and Greenwood in behind, and stuff like that. The last couple of wins have been very much needed. But, I'm not going to know what to expect come next season. I think, is it going to be a case of what we've seen in games previously, against United, West Ham? Are we going to get that type of Tottenham? Or are we going to get one that we had, say, earlier on in the season against Burnley, where we blew them away, and beat them 5-0? I think my own personal opinion is that, by and large, the football under Mourinho so far has been very mixed. But it's aided results, and it's quite difficult to try and have that discussion with other fans, because they're just saying we're winning games, and that's the be all and end all. So it's almost that style versus substance argument. Do you want to play good football, not necessarily win every week, or is it a case of just winning and don't care, how we go about winning? I think a lot of fans at the minute are leaning towards the substance side of it because we are winning games. But I think next season for the club and for Jose is probably one of the most crucial that we've had. Our recruitment has to be right next season, going into next season. The way we play has to be, we have to see evidence of Mourinho putting his own stamp on the team, whether we're going to like it or not. But I think as long as if we can see that something has happened or something taken place within the football club over, say a pre-season, but it's probably going to be a mini break, in if anything, because of the way that this season has panned out. But look, as a fan, I want to see good football. I'd love to see us be winning all the time, but I want to be entertained going to games. I don't want to have to feel like I might fall asleep at a football game, or or stuff like that. And people have questioned me on that and gone, well, we've played good football, not won anything, and stuff. So are you happy with that? And of course, I'm not happy with the fact we haven't won anything for ages. At the end of the day, yeah, I'd love us to win a trophy and be successful and have that tangible success that that is the trophies. But I think we have this kind of way about doing things at Tottenham. You could say the Tottenham way, but then the Tottenham way hasn't really got us anywhere. So I think the reason why Mourinho's come in is, we've gone this long and this far doing things a certain way. It hasn't worked. Right, we're going to change it. And hopefully that'll bring success. But it's such a strange one because, I think, do you want to be remembered as the team that has won things, or do you want to be remembered as the nearly men, which we've been classed as over the past few seasons? But I think now Liverpool, if I take Liverpool as an example, like they were flying for the majority of the season. They get crowned champions and it seems like the wheels have fallen off. They're on the beach or they're at the bar, one of the two, probably both at a beach bar somewhere. So now there's question marks over Liverpool's mentality now after becoming champions. People are questioning them because, they haven't been the same since they were crowned champions. Getting these guard of honours everywhere they go. But their performance levels have dipped massively, and if anybody watched their game against them other lot down the road, I guess not beating Arsenal's not for everyone, is it? But it's one of those. They've made uncharacteristic errors, but is that just one of those days at the office, or could that potentially be a feature? They got royally turned over by City as well since being crowned champions. So, but are people going to remember that, or are they going to just remember the fact that Liverpool are champions? They had all these records going for them and stuff, and now it looks like it's not going to happen for them. So yeah, but it's an interesting one. We'll see what happens with us going into the future, and obviously next season, like I say, is a crucial one. We have to get a lot of things right on and off the pitch if we're going to do anything, I think. Reading today that Jose wants, I think, 4 players, but that could change. Tomorrow it might be 6. The other day, it might be another day it'll be 8, or you never really know what to believe. But I think what gets me a lot, and what I think people fail to understand, is that Mourinho talked up this squad of players, because everybody's going on about this squad's finished, it's done, reset button in the summer, everything like that. But Jose was speaking up this group of players when he was out of work. So when people say to me that, it's not, okay, it's probably not his team. And, I've given examples of other clubs with managers that have walked in to different teams and have managed to get something in terms of success. But, like I say, people say to me all the time, it's the players, they're finished, they're not good enough, everything like that. But Jose talked them up. Jose has spoken a lot about this squad and this set of players, and has said, what a good group of players they actually are. But it's when we win, I think, when we win, everything's rosy. And when we lose, it's like the world's going to end. So I feel like our fan base is turning into Arsenal's fan base, because they were exactly the same under Wenger. You had your Wenger out lot that would go, he's finished, he's past it, everything like that after they lost. But then when they won, it was the Wenger in lot that were going, look, he's a master tactician, he still got it, all of this kind of thing. I think since Mourinho's come in, we've had that in abundance. So yeah, I think the fan base is very divided. I think we've somehow got to get everybody on side again and working like we had under Pochettino, that club culture of everybody being on side and stuff. I think we've got to get that back to that, and hopefully Jose will deliver on that.
Yeah, I think just on that one quickly, I think obviously saying about this, Jose Mourinho has spoken up his squad and everything because he has. But I think maybe a lot of the players might have been struggling for the confidence, maybe just thinking, are we actually ever going to win anything? Because as you said, we have been so close, but it's just always just dropping off at the time. And I think obviously, we started to have a bit of a downfall before the Champions League final. But after that, I think maybe after the Champions League final, probably some of the players are thinking, am I actually ever going to win anything here? We've had such a good run, we've done so well. And then I think people maybe forget how hard that could maybe be as a player to maybe like push yourself to go again. Because it hasn't just happened once or anything with us. We've come close to league titles on a couple of occasions, didn't do it. The amount of FA Cup semi-finals what we got into, and you think, oh my God, we can do this. What we believe, falling short. Carabao Cup a couple of times. I think we've come so close, but then we always just fall at the last hurdle. And I think for a lot of that, I think it has been obviously quite a core of this team. Um, you know, and maybe they're just starting to think, okay, is this actually going to happen now? We've got so close yet so far, and it's just like, and I think as you said about Harry Kane's performance maybe against Newcastle, like they maybe just go, oh, they're down a bit. Their heads are down, like the shoulders down. It's going to take something to get them back up and going, okay, no, we do believe in this, and we do believe we are going to win something. I think maybe some of the players have lost that belief. I think that's the right way to put it. And I think now obviously Mourinho is a natural winner, and I think being in Europa League potentially next season could be massive for this club. Because I think that is a trophy what we could win. Like last season we was fighting for the Champions League. I think we've got the ability and the quality to go and do well in Europa League, potentially win it if obviously we invest right in the squad. But also it will give some of the younger players a chance, which I think will be massive for the club as well. Like the likes of Troy Parrott, because we all know how good this guy can be. But Mourinho isn't sure if he's ready for the Premier League. Well, this could be his chance to go and prove that he is ready. Oliver Skip, he's got that new contract today. Obviously, that'll be big for him, getting more appearances, more first team minutes. And Dennis Churkin, Harvey White, maybe even a few others. I think that'll be massive for the club. I think you'll look at it and you think, okay, we can potentially go and win that trophy. And obviously, if you win the Europa League, you get into the Champions League as well. So if you look at the league, obviously the league is improving still. You've got your City, Liverpool, Chelsea have improved sadly. United are looking very, very good again. They are looking like they could be up there next season. I still don't think they will be right up there, don't get me wrong, but they are going to be, I think, starting to cement themselves as a Champions League club again. Starting to really, obviously, they've had a few seasons where, Europa League, Champions League, but I think they will start to cement themselves as that Champions League club again, going for them more trophies again. They've seemed to got that belief in them. They've got the belief in their side. So I think the club in itself needs belief. And I think being in Europa League could really help with that. To push and win that, maybe the Carabao Cup. I think next season, Jose's aim will be to win a trophy no matter what. Whether or not that is a Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, like we'll have to wait and see. The Audi Cup.
If we're in it.
Yeah. But no, I think it's going to be interesting. I think, like as I've said, I will back him, because he has won the stuff when he's been at all these clubs, and I think yeah. But obviously, if we are having to watch boring football week in, week out, then fans won't like it, because we have got the players to play exciting football. Um, but I think my point, what I always come back to, we need that holding midfielder if we want to play exciting football and win matches still, because that play to break up the play. Because at the minute we don't have that. So I think that is the biggest investment we can do this summer. But yeah, that's my feelings on that. Do you have anything else to add, or?
No, not particularly. Not particularly. Not on that point, anyway.
No,
So,
no.
yeah, we'll move on, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, went a bit off topic
Yeah.
from the review, but I think it was quite an interesting topic to have there, especially with all the Enoch out, Levy out, people sort of disappearing after the past two games. So, go back to the Newcastle game. And who would you give man of the match to?
Starting with Newcastle, Alan Saint-Maximin. I've said a couple of times he was excellent. Someone actually asked me a question. Would I prefer him or Adama Traore at Wolves if I had a bit of money to spend and I was looking to go and get a wide guy? And it threw up because I think that's quite an interesting one. I would probably, and I said to him, I'd probably just edge towards Saint-Maximin just because he excites me that little bit more than what Adama Traore does. I think, don't get me wrong, Adama Traore's got better on his end product, but I still think he needs to improve on it. A lot of people used to slate Aaron Lennon for his, people used to slate Aaron Lennon for his end product. I think Adama's fairly similar. It's just the fact he's just like pure pace. Whereas I think Saint-Maximin uses his body a little bit better than Adama Traore does, and I like the fact that Saint-Maximin can go off his left, off his right, and as I mentioned, he's really taken the initiative to grab games by the scruff of the neck and look to make an impact. I've not particularly seen that from Adama Traore. Don't get me wrong, Adama Traore has made impact on games for Wolves. But I just think it's a different. I think Saint-Maximin's impact is just slightly different, and I would edge towards signing Saint-Maximin if I had the choice given to me. For Spurs, I'm going to go with Lucas Moura. I think it's a toss-up really between him and Serge, but Serge is more of the sense of what's happened to him, and as we've said, great credit to him for that. But I think Lucas Moura was excellent. Done a lot of running for the team, a lot of unselfish work. I think there was one point he sprinted about 40, 45 yards just to win the ball back. So you can never disregard that as a player watching it or seeing it, or as a fan watching the game either. But again, it's a weird one with Lucas Moura because as I've said to you before, Joe, he's always he can always be a threat with his pace that he's got, but I just think there's so much more that we need to see from him. But I think the last couple of games though, he's put in a type of performance that I didn't think he had in him. And he's shown a different side of his game to us because, don't get me wrong, he's probably classed as a flair kind of player, but has really put in some really good defensive displays. Don't get me wrong, I'd love him to be going the other way and, creating goals, scoring goals, everything like that, going past people for fun because he's got the ability to do it. And I like the fact with Lucas as well that he's able to stand up against the player, and then just that quick change of pace, that quick burst of acceleration, and he's away. Like, you're not catching him. I think for me, Lucas Moura, man of the match. Might be a bit difficult for you to decide on this one, considering you saw I mean, you watched the first half and then had to catch up on the
Yeah.
second half highlights wise. So this will be fun.
Yeah. I think, obviously, Saint Maximin, I fully agree with you, and I quite like that comparison to Adama Traore you've made. You know, or that conversation what you've had. I fully agree with you on that. I think he's just got that bit more. I think, you know, he's got that bit more, you know, not afraid to show off the skill. You know, he'll take players on.
That bit of swagger and arrogance.
Yeah, and I like that in a player. It does get you excited, and yeah, I just really like the guy. So say if we went and signed him, I'd be buzzing. Like, obviously, we don't need any wingers. Don't get me wrong, but you know, that's probably one position what we're quite good at. But I'd still be buzzing because he's that sort of player. Obviously, I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I'm just theoretically. Adama Traore, I fully agree with you on the end product. Too many times he gets in a position to put in a good cross or something, he just doesn't deliver it. Yes, he can score banging goals. You know, he's quick. You know, he's hard to defend against, but it is that end product. And also, he does pick up quite a few injuries as well, which I think, you know, not necessarily major injuries, but, you know, like them little niggles. And, you know, he's had that shoulder problem quite a bit, hasn't he? And I think that's just the way he's built. I think the way he's built, he's going to pick up injuries.
Yeah, and I think it might be a consequence of the way he plays, because he does draw a lot of fouls as well. So that might that might be a consequence of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, obviously Saint Maximin for Newcastle, hands down. And I'm going to give Tottenham man of the match to Serge Aurier, just because, like, I know obviously it is a lot down to what's gone on and everything, but I just can't give the guy enough credit for what he's done. To be fair, you know, I think that shows some major mentality. So you know, I hold my hands up. Fair play to the guy. You know, it obviously, I think I heard something that he might not be involved on Sunday, because I think he went back to France the other day.
Yeah.
So whether or not he's involved on Sunday, we'll wait and see. But to be involved literally a couple of days after, like, I don't think I could do that personally. And I think, you know, obviously, I think Jose Mourinho's, you know, said people react in different ways, and obviously his brother probably, you know, would have wanted him to play, which probably would have pushed Serge to play. But still, I think, you know, he did have a fairly solid game, you know, so, you know, fair play to him. So yeah, that's who I'm going to give my man of the match to, for Tottenham.
I'm definitely keeping this.
Which I know is a big call.
I'm definitely keeping that segment just for you. So when you do rip into Serge Aurier, I'm just going to repeat this that little segment and put it on loop.
Yeah, that's fine by me, because I have gained a lot of respect for him, and I think, you know, I don't mind being proven wrong about things. And, you know, he has proved me wrong on some parts. Obviously, not all the parts. Don't get me wrong, but no, he's proved that he's got a mentality that he, you know, what at times I don't think we always knew was there. I think that's fair to say. Like the hunger to play, the hunger to do well. Like, you know, he's really sort of shown that with, you know, playing in the circumstances what he's played in. So fair play, Serge Aurier. You know, massive respect. So yeah, I believe that does wrap up our review of the Newcastle game. Obviously went a bit off topic a little bit, you know, as we do, but I think, you know, it did have some relevance, and it's still an interesting topic to bring up, I think, in these times. But yeah, obviously, as you've as some of you may have seen, we are looking to potentially do a giveaway when we reach 100 subscribers. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel with a chance to win the prize. Still working on what the prize will be, and we're open to suggestions. So if you've got any suggestions, make sure you message us on any of the social media platforms at Only One Hotspur. But yeah, as I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, you comment your thoughts on the game, and turn the notification bell on. And we are also on Spotify, so make sure you follow us on there. Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!